Alright, let's dive into something that's been bubbling under the surface of the news cycle but could have massive implications globally. President Trump recently hinted that a deal regarding the Strait of Hormuz might be announced as early as today or tomorrow. Now, on the surface, this might sound like just another diplomatic update, but personally, I think this is a big deal. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just a waterway, it's a geopolitical choke point. It's where about 20% of the world's oil passes through daily. So, any deal here could reshape global energy dynamics, and frankly, the balance of power in the Middle East. What makes this really interesting is the players involved, Iran and Oman. These two countries have been in talks to reopen the strait, which has been a major flashpoint since the US and Israel attacked Iran back in February. Now, Iran's Foreign Minister Ismail Baqi has described the talks as positive, which is a rare bit of optimism in a region that's been anything but stable lately. But here's the kicker, the proposal reportedly includes a service fee for ships transiting the strait. This is where things get tricky. The US has been adamant about not allowing Iran to charge tolls, with Trump himself saying, "I'm not going to let them charge." But if you take a step back and think about it, this isn't just about money. It's about control. Who gets to dictate the terms of global trade in one of the most strategic waterways in the world? One thing that immediately stands out is the US's position on this. The Trump administration has previously ruled out any deal that gives Iran control over the strait, but the current proposal seems to be inching closer to that. Ships would enter through an Iranian-controlled route and exit through an Omani one. This raises a deeper question. Is the US willing to compromise on its red lines to end the war with Iran? And if so, what does that mean for its broader strategy in the region? A detail I find fascinating is the US's dwindling stockpile of long-range precision missiles. According to CBS News, the US has used nearly all of its global stockpile during the war with Iran. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has dismissed these concerns, calling them manufactured, but if you ask me, this is a huge vulnerability. If the US can't sustain its current rate of missile usage, it could force a shift in strategy, maybe even push them toward a deal they wouldn't have considered otherwise. What this really suggests is that the US might be in a weaker position than it's letting on, and that could explain why Trump is suddenly so optimistic about a deal. Meanwhile, the humanitarian situation in Iran is alarming. The UN rights chief, Volker Turk, recently expressed concern over the surge in executions since March, with at least 56 people executed on national security-related charges. This isn't just a numbers game, it's a tactic to instill fear and suppress dissent. What many people don't realize is that this crackdown is directly linked to the anti-government protests earlier this year. The regime is sending a clear message: dissent will not be tolerated. But here's the thing, this kind of repression often backfires. It fuels more resentment and could destabilize the country further, which would complicate any potential deal with the US. And let's not forget the Houthis in Yemen. They've been targeting Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea as part of their maritime blockade. This isn't just a local conflict, it's part of a broader regional struggle for power. The Houthis are backed by Iran, so their actions are a proxy for Tehran's ambitions. If the Strait of Hormuz deal goes through, it could either escalate or de-escalate tensions in the Red Sea, depending on how Iran chooses to play its cards. In my opinion, the Strait of Hormuz deal is more than just a diplomatic agreement, it's a litmus test for the future of the Middle East. Will it bring stability, or will it just shift the power dynamics in ways we can't yet predict? Personally, I think this deal could be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it could end a devastating war and reopen a vital trade route. On the other, it could embolden Iran and weaken US influence in the region. What makes this moment so fascinating is the uncertainty. We're watching history unfold in real time, and the stakes couldn't be higher. So, here's my closing thought: if this deal goes through, it won't just be about oil or missiles or tolls. It'll be about the kind of world we want to live in. Do we want a Middle East where cooperation trumps conflict, or one where power struggles continue to dominate? That's the real question we should all be asking ourselves. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below.